January is definitely one of the quieter months in the garden because the weather's just too cold for anything to grow outside. And anything that's going to make it through the winter is dormant right now. But because I've been gardening for a while, back in September, I built a plastic take-apartable greenhouse over one of my gardens so I could extend my growing season. This let me grow radishes, lettuce, spinach, and carrots throughout the fall and into the winter. One of my gardening goals this past year was to be able to go out to the garden on Christmas Day and pick the carrots we were going to eat for Christmas dinner. Carrots get really sweet when the temperatures dip below freezing, so they tasted pretty amazing. I've done this before, and it's great. This year, I grew more carrots than we needed, and we'll be enjoying them in January, as long as we can chisel them out of the ground, that is. January has some of the shortest and coldest days of the year, but we shouldn't let that stop us in our tracks. January is a great month for us to figure out where south is if we haven't done that already. Just go outside when the sun is at its highest point in the sky, and if you're looking toward the sun, you're looking south. If you're new to gardening, you can start thinking about where you want to locate your garden, and where south is may help you decide where to put your garden. We can look around our yards in January and learn about something called microclimates. Microclimates are those very local conditions that exist in every yard and garden, and they're just a little bit different based on where trees, houses, fences, windbreaks, etc. are, for example, relative to the sun. Microclimates can help us understand what might grow better in one area versus another. If you watch where the snow melts first and where it takes the longest to melt, this will tell us about areas where our soil will warm up faster or more slowly in the spring. If we're trying to decide where to locate a garden, it may help us decide where to stick our garden or what vegetables are likely to grow better under a particular set of conditions. It's never too early to start planning for this year's garden. If you had a garden last year, think back to what grew well and what didn't last year. Think about whether you want to grow anything new or different this year. I always like to experiment. Was there anything that didn't grow well last year or that took up too much space and didn't give you that much in return? Are you thinking about expanding your garden this year? Maybe building raised beds? It's always a good idea to plan to move crops around in your garden so you don't grow them in the same spot every year. If the ground isn't frozen, you might even take a soil sample and get your soil tested by a local state testing lab or an extension service. Do you want to grow from seed indoors to get a head start in the growing season? This would be the time to look into ordering your seeds if you haven't done so already. I do a deeper dive into many of these areas in other videos. If you're growing vegetables from seeds like I do, but I have to confess, it took me several years before I was able to start growing from seed. When your seeds arrive, you'll want to sort your seeds and organize them by the date you can plant them, and separate the seeds you're planting outside from the seeds you're planting inside. Keep in mind that if you're planning to start some vegetables indoors, you'll be able to start your earliest crops sometime in February or March. So you'll need to make sure you have the supplies on hand. And January is a great time to get organized before the weather warms up and things start getting much busier. This particular section is organized based on the month of the year, so you can plan your activities calendar-wise. We also have a Getting Started section packed with specifics if you're brand new to gardening. We have another section on subject matter so that you can dive a little deeper into topics like raised bed or composting as examples. And we have a vegetables, flowers, and herbs section that dives into the details of growing specific vegetables, flowers, or herbs. New material is being added all the time. Feel free to jump around anywhere on the site to find what you're looking for, and know that your comments are always welcome. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. Thanks.